I'm back, baby.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel today. My name is the Crimson Wolf, and welcome back to the Blue review for our Premier League game versus Leicester. And immediately, apologies that I was unable to get the Chelsea countdown out Friday, excuse me. My microphone was just having so many problems. The audio recorded was just so random and flaky and inconsistent, and I was really not happy with it. And due to how late it was in the day, I didn't really have time to refilm it. And obviously because of the early kickoff, I couldn't do it in the morning either, and I was busy that morning anyway. So apologies. I did have the video planned. I'm probably going to put the thumbnail somewhere up here so you can see that I actually did do it. But yeah, I did have the video planned. The intro for this video, by the way, before the opening, is actually from that video. That's what I planned to use for that video before I realised how bad the audio was. So there you go. But regardless, as for the game, I thought it was pretty solid. I think we dominated the entire game, to be perfectly honest. I don't think Leicester really got any joy out of that until really the last minute when they got that penalty. They didn't really get anything out of us, so we pretty much controlled that entire game. And I thought there was some good performances across the pitch. There's a few things I do want to mention, one in particular which I think was really bad in this game. But if you are new to the channel around here, allow me to give you a quick overview of the Blue review. Basically, I go through 8 points from the game, Lampard's famous 8 as I like to call it, and give them a blue, yellow or red card, whether it was a good, mid or bad performance. And at the end of all that, I give out the gold card for who I believe was the man of the match. With that being said, I will dive immediately into the cards, and starting with the red card, the ever-present in the red cards as of the minute, Robert Sanchez.
Not again.
Alright, relax. I'm kidding. Sanchez is not in the Reds for today. He's not got a spot on this list because, frankly, he had the quietest game known to man. Yes, there was that really bad pass to Caicedo where we got caught out. There was that, but nothing else. He literally had nothing to do. Could have done a little bit better for the penalty, but that's about it. So, Sanchez isn't on this list today. I'm going to leave him alone for today. You can have a break today, Bob. Now, the actual first red card of the day goes to the referees. Now, under normal circumstances, I might have considered giving them a yellow. However, there are 2 incidents in this game where there should have been red cards. The first is the most prominent, which is Wilfred Ndidi studs up on the back of Cole Palmer's leg around the ankle point, the Achilles area, and somehow doesn't get sent off, even after VAR have looked at it. How that did not turn into a straight red, I don't know. I literally was sitting there watching that, and originally I'd seen that he'd just tackled Palmer. Palmer was hurt, and they was given a yellow for it. And then I saw our players getting up in arms about it. I was just like, oh, there's something wrong here. And then I watched it back, and I was just sat there thinking, how is that not a red? And the fact that it wasn't upgraded to a red is ludicrous. Fucking Paul Tierney on VAR must genuinely not have eyes if he thinks that's not a red. I do not understand how that was not upgraded. The second one is less egregious, but I do believe it should have been a red, which was when Samare completely upended João Felix. If João Felix had not gotten himself out of the way and managed to jump over Samare, he might have ended up with a broken leg. And even then, he basically just goes flying. Could have even landed on his neck if he wasn't careful. That was reckless. That should have been a red for me as well. So Leicester got really lucky with the referees today. Other than that, the refs didn't have a bad game. However, those 2 incidents are so egregious that I had to give them a red card. As for the penalties, I think both decisions are correct. I don't believe the Wes Fofana and Mavididi one was a pen. I think that's just a coming together that isn't a foul, really. It's just contact, really. It's just Mavididi running into Wes, really. That's not a pen for me. The second one, yes, that is a pen. I know on first glance, and I even thought this when I first looked at it, it does just look like he's tripped himself and Lavia's just stood behind him and nudged him slightly. In that case, it wouldn't be a pen. If that had been given, I would have been furious. However, if you do look, Lavia steps on him. He steps on his foot, which is what causes him to trip. So in that incident, it is a penalty. Not really any complaints there. Jordan Ayew scores it, and that pretty much is the last notable action of the game. No real complaints there, but those two incidents with Samari and Ndidi, absolutely criminal. How were they not given as red cards? I don't know. The Ndidi one specifically, the Samari one I can let go because Felix more or less avoided getting him a red card by the fact that he moved out of the way. But the Ndidi one is inexcusable. Absolutely inexcusable. How that was not given as a red, I don't know. The second red and final red I want to talk about, I'm going to be harsh here, but I do need to talk about this, and it's going to lead into something I'm going to talk about later. It's for Romeo Lavia. He comes off the bench late in the game, does not really anything of note. He comes on for Moises Caicedo, and it was evident quite early that he's not able to do what Caicedo can do. He doesn't have the legs really to cover all the ground that Caicedo can, and obviously he wasn't going to come on for Enzo Fernandez because Fernandez was having a brilliant game. More on that later. It was evident that Lavia was going to struggle, and then he does concede the penalty. It's clumsy, and it stops us getting the clean sheet, ultimately. So, I do have to kind of hang him up for that. I don't think he's completely to blame. The ball probably shouldn't have been getting to that position. He shouldn't have had to deal with it. But he doesn't deal with it well. Ultimately, it's a clumsy foul, it's a penalty, and it loses our clean sheet. So, not really much to say because he wasn't on the pitch long enough, but that moment, I think, deserves a red card from me. Moving into the yellow cards, and there is only one point I'm going to talk about, but it's for two players. And those players are Noni Madueke and Cole Palmer. Now, I'll talk about the obvious incident between those two in this game, but I don't think likely either of them are on it. Now, Palmer, in his defense, he had half of their team just gunning for him, trying to break his legs. Like, I mentioned the Ndidi incident already. There were at least a couple dozen more challenges on him that they were leaving something in on him because they know they're not good enough to stop him. So they're just like, right, can't stop him, injure him, basically. They were taking no prisoners in that. But largely he was just ineffective again, I think. He has been struggling with that, and I think he's getting found out a little bit. I think it was a pretty quiet game from Palmer. Again, he was having his ankles broken every 5 seconds, so there's that. As for Madueke, I think he was just largely ineffective. He was really unlucky, to be fair to him, and I have to say, I don't think I've seen anybody have as unlucky of a game as I've seen Madueke have. There's obviously the offside goal, which Cucurella is marginally offside, so it gets ruled out. There's the counter-attack where Jackson crosses him the ball and he just can't hit it properly. Unlucky more than anything. And then the most irritating moment, which will probably go down as one of the most infamous moments of the season, when Jackson shoots, Hermansen pushes it wide to save it, and it falls to Cole Palmer. Noni Madueke is running at it in case he needed to be able to get it, but it's gone past him. So he tries to jump over the ball but can't clear it in time, and Palmer hits his leg. It's a comedic moment more than anything, and thankfully it didn't cost us the game, because if it did, I think both these guys might have been in red after that. But it's a ridiculous moment, and frankly, it shouldn't have happened. I don't know how it did happen in the end of it. I don't know whether Madueke shouldn't have gone for it or whether he just should have been able to clear the ball quicker. But it's an insane moment that I don't particularly understand how it's happened. But Madueke was really unlucky in this game. I don't think he played awfully, but he wasn't really affecting the game as much as I would have liked him to. So for me, he's in the yellow. Bunch in there with Cole Palmer. I think they go hand in hand today. Alright, moving into the blue cards for this game. First off, it is a blue card for João Felix. Now, I was wondering whether I should have given Felix a yellow card for this game, because I do think, while he did have moments of brilliance, they were largely leading to nothing. The thing that led me to putting him in the blue cards instead of the yellows is his work rate for this game was absolutely phenomenal. The amount of times he was chasing down that ball, going all over the pitch, hunting down the player with the ball, was absolutely spectacular. I remember one time he ran all the way from his position on the left wing to basically the right back spot to go and win the ball back. There was the one I think he ran just all the way across the pitch and slide tackle missed, unfortunately, to get the ball. And that is something I really like to see, because that has always been a bit of a criticism from people, from Felix, which is that his work rate hasn't always been the best. But in this game, his work rate was absolutely fantastic. He was all over the pitch, winning the ball back. And as I say, he did have flashes of brilliance. I don't particularly believe they were the most effective, but he did have those moments where you know he is an absolutely fantastic player. So that was really nice to see from Felix. I'm going to give him a blue card for this game. Maybe could have been a yellow on another day, but I think his work rate 100% warrants a blue card for this game. The second blue card of this game goes to the defense as a whole. Now, there is one man I want to highlight from this, and I'm going to put him up. He is my third blue card for this game, and it is Badiashile. And while I think he was absolutely a standout for this game, he isn't solely responsible for our defensive solidity, so I want to touch on the defense as a whole. Largely, I think Wes Fofana, considering he had a game at right back, and he was playing at his old ground, obviously Leicester, and getting showered with comments and boos and chants the entire game, I think he did really well, and largely kept hold of pretty much anybody that came down his way. I think he did really well when he was forced to be at right back, or when he was in the centre, the right of a back three. I think Colwill did really well as well, obviously being the ball progressing centre back, although largely that duty wasn't his today, that was Badiashile's, but kept the defence intact. He is the brains of the defence whenever he's in it, Colwill, I believe. He is the intelligence there, he is the leader there, so I think his presence in the middle there was quite necessary. So, solid performance from Colwill. And then Cucurella also again had a really good performance. I could have easily given him a card himself, but I thought it best to include him in this group of defenders as well. But yeah, Cucurella, he was actually employed in a different role in this game. He was actually more of a natural left back when he was going up the pitch and putting crosses in high up the pitch. And the only reason I can assume for that is because we didn't have Malo Gusto in the squad, obviously out with illness. So we decided instead of going down the right wing doing that, we go down the left wing with the left back. And it was working pretty well. Cucurella was doing really well. He was largely keeping hold of that McAteer kid, Casey McAteer I think his name was, that was going at him the entire game. A couple hazy moments here and there when I think he probably could have done a little bit better. But other than that, Cucurella had a really good game. But the man that definitely deserves the praise from this game in the defence is Badiashile. He was absolutely fantastic in this game. And the one question I have is, where has that been? I often use this to describe Robert Sanchez when I call him the Raheem Sterling of goalkeepers. Well, Badiashile apparently is the Raheem Sterling of centre-backs. Because one game he can be absolutely phenomenal, like this game, and the next game he'll be total crap. And you'd never know what version of him you're going to get. And in this game, he was absolutely stellar. So if he can start putting in consistent performances, then we could be looking at an actually solid option for the Premier League should Levi Colwill get injured. If Badiashile can keep these performances up, not just in this team, but whenever he has to play in the Conference League squads as well. So if he can keep those performances up, he could cement himself as staying at Chelsea, because at the minute he is looking like he's on the way out, because as long as this is a flash in the pan, it's never going to get any better for him. If he can keep this level of consistency up, he 100% has a future at Chelsea. Moving into the penultimate blue card for this game, and it's for the first goal scorer of the game, Nicholas Jackson. And this was just a really solid game from Jackson. Obviously, he does really, really well to get the goal. Completely bullied Wout Faes into that. And I was saying that Wout Faes is someone who just crumbles under pressure, and Jackson put him under so much of it, and he couldn't handle it. Jackson just harassed him until he got the ball. It's an assist by Enzo Fernandez, who plays the ball to Jackson, and it's an absolutely brilliant finish outside of the foot into the right hand side of the net. It's a brilliant finish, and Jackson was just really good. He was creating chances. Obviously, he was the one that created that chance for Madueke and Palmer's annoying incident, so there was that. And he was the one that also created the chance for Enzo Fernandez's goal on the back of Cucurella's cross, unfortunately right at Mads Hermansen for a pretty simple save. But I think Jackson just had a really good game. He played really well. His hold-up play has always been phenomenal, so that's nothing new. His finishing has just been so much better this season than it was last season. 7 in 12, I believe he's now on, which is absolutely stellar for the man. He is 100% becoming one of the best centre-forwards in the league. He might even be the best centre-forward in the league, and I don't mean centre-forward as in goal-scoring, because we all know who that is, although at the minute he can't hit a barn door. But in terms of actual centre-forward play, I don't think there's anybody better than Jackson, to be honest. His hold-up play and his link-up play is absolutely stellar, and I don't think there's another centre-forward in the league who can do that kind of thing. His goal-scoring isn't on the level of some of the elite strikers in this league, so your Haalands, your Isaks, possibly even someone like Watkins, but he has done absolutely brilliantly this season, Jackson. Long may it continue. I just hope we get to see more of it. And finishing off this list with the final blue card and taking home the gold card of this game, the man of the match, Enzo Fernandez. Vindication. Not just for Enzo Fernandez, for me. Because I have been saying for weeks that Enzo Fernandez should be starting in this team. Because he offers us something going forward that no other player, or no other midfielder at least, does. The best passing midfielder we've got, easily. He was the captain for this game, obviously, in the absence of Reece James. But yeah, Enzo was superb today. Obviously, as I mentioned earlier, he got the assist for Nicholas Jackson's goal. It's a pretty decent ball. Not really complicated, but it's a good one to be able to make sure Jackson can get his shot off. So he does really well there, Enzo. And he was just creating chances all over the pitch. I thought he had a really good game. And then, obviously, he gets the winning goal, scoring off the rebound of Hermansen's save from Jackson's shot. Getting the header, simple header, but he was there to do it. He follows the ball in to make sure he's there to get the header. And it's a brilliant, brilliant finish. Simple, but effective. Enzo Fernandez was just everywhere today. He was absolutely superb in this game. And as I say, vindication for everybody who's been saying that Enzo Fernandez is an important part of this team. Because he is. Not only is he a vice-captain, he is just such an important part of this team that helps us tick over going forward. And I hope a lot of people have realised that now. There may be some situations where I believe Romeo Lavia should be preferred over Enzo Fernandez, but in a lot of situations where we need to be just absolutely pulverising an opposing team with attacking quality, Enzo Fernandez is the man. He is absolutely the guy that we need in there to be able to absolutely gun down the defence, making sure we have chances galore, and we just need to take those chances. Hopefully, his inclusion back in the team will strengthen Cole Palmer, because whenever Enzo's played in the team, Palmer has been at his best. The Brighton game, as I constantly call back to, was the prime example of that. Enzo had a brilliant game, and Cole Palmer arguably had the best game he's ever had, scoring 4 in the first half. So, 100% Enzo Fernandez, for me, needs to be starting in future games over Romeo Lavia. I think it's just so much better with Enzo in this team. We look so much slicker. We be able to create chances a lot better. And I think once we get Neto back in this team, and possibly even Jadon Sancho, I think there might not be many defenses that can go up against a chance-creating engine like that with Neto, Sancho, and Enzo. That will be terrifying to see for other teams, not for us, thankfully. So, 100% for me, Enzo Fernandez takes home the man of the match for me. He was absolutely superb in this game. Hopefully, he can continue this form, go and bag a couple more assists, maybe even get a couple more goals. Just keep playing well, and he will nail down his spot in this team. So those were my thoughts for our Premier League game versus Leicester. I hope you all very much enjoyed. Please do not forget to leave your thoughts in the comments down below. And with that being said, my name is the Crimson Wolf. I am the reddest Chelsea fan on the internet, and you have all been amazing. Once again, I apologise for the video, and please let me know if the audio is any better in this one. I hope it is. So hopefully it sounds a lot better. But with that being said, I will see you all in the next one. Good luck with it.